Good afternoon, Anna.
Hello again.
Yeah, end of the day for us, at least, for the programme.
Yes, I know. And I can't quite keep saying it enough, really. It just goes too fast, too much going on, all great stuff.
It really does. And I can't believe that tomorrow is going to be the last day of the event.
I
And we've
know.
got another packed day of guests joining us on our lives tomorrow as well. It's going to be fun, I think.
Yes, I know. It's something always to look forward to. Yes, for a
Yes,
Friday.
and always a surprise as well. And we have two guests joining us today who I'm going to now introduce into the stream. So Claudia and Zainab, who I'm apologize if I pronounce your name incorrectly, but welcome into the session.
Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me here.
It's good to see you both, and yeah, especially good to see you, Claudia, joining us from Salford, which I've not been to campus for a long time, so it's great to see you there. How are things in Salford?
Very well, thank you. We are doing well, and we are coming back to normal slowly, but definitely we are back to normal.
Fantastic.
Oh, that's great. And how about yourself, Zainab? How are things with you?
Things are going good in a lockdown, and yeah, I was participating at the Climate Expo and spoke at the session yesterday. It was on a nature-based solution, and it was really good.
Oh, that's excellent. Well, that's brilliant. It's nice to have you here as well.
Yeah, so Zainab, are you joining us? Where are you in Pakistan? Is that where, did I see you were
Yeah,
there or whereabouts?
from
Fantastic. It's great to have people from all over the world joining us. And Claudia, I gather you had a session that was taking place today as well with Sarah, who joined us earlier.
Yes, we participated in COP26 with a project that we are doing jointly with my colleague Sara Vishkaya and with my colleague Atina Mustaka, which is about regenerating areas along the Manchester Ship Canal, which is an amazing piece of Victorian engineering and a man-made canal linking Manchester to Liverpool.
And I know you're an architect, Claudia. The architecture's come up a lot in the conference this week, especially around planning, around the growth of cities. And I guess sustainability is a big topic for many cities now, trying to figure out how to build a better future. What do you see as some of the priorities for cities thinking about their construction and their way forward?
Well, this is a very, very good question. And yes, indeed, the architects and the planners are very much involved in this challenge, which is a global challenge. And we are all aware that our profession is in the front line because the building construction sector has a huge impact on the climate change issue and even on the way in which society are shaped. So there are a lot of challenges that we need to tackle, and we need to give our contribution to resolve them. And I would think that we are shifting towards a vision in which we don't just need to mitigate or to adapt, we need to restore what we have damaged. I think that a clear message came from the recent Dasgupta review, which has been issued in February 2021, and made very clear that there is no wealth without biodiversity. And in saying so, we are all committed not just to not making damages, but even to restore what we have damaged. So I think that more and more we will shift towards a direction in which we need to restore our cities, our buildings, like doctors, because we have produced, unfortunately, in the last years, and based on theories which are now obsolete, cities which are not healthy. We produce buildings in which we get sick. We produce cities in which we struggle to live properly. So we now need to restore what we did wrong.
Yes, I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? Starting with the things that we already have is an easier route in some ways to begin with what we have and then build outwards and not just look at solutions that may or may not pay off. So that's quite important. So Zainab, when you spoke earlier at your session. Could you explain a little bit about what you were talking about for anybody who may have missed it, just to explain about your highlights as well of the festival and what you've been enjoying? Conference, sorry. I keep saying festival because I'm having so much fun. That's why. So yes, conference. So any highlights, but more about your session would be great. Thank you.
So the session was basically about the capacity building and the capacity building for the promotion of the nature-based solutions. And I particularly talk about how we can incorporate the youth into the implementation process and how we can include them in the policy making process so that they are better integrated into the system. The session went very well, and the thing which was a highlight and takeaway was that all the speakers were kind of focused toward the same thing, and they included this point, and they kind of reiterated it again and again that you should be our focus, because considering them as a stakeholder is a way forward, and we cannot solve our crisis if we cannot include the huge youth bulk around the world in our policy making process. One of the major highlight was that we can include the youth in the maybe the SMME sectors, and we can support them via financial means by providing them trainings and by equipping them with the right skills and the training, so that we can also scale up their initiatives and also kind of include them in a main policy making process. The other speakers kind of also shared their experiences, but it was quite heartwarming to see that they were also focused on the youth upskilling and training and things like that.
That's really interesting, because I saw one session earlier that was also talking about SMEs, and I think actually often the people that are working with SMEs are often young people who are starting out perhaps as well, and trying to find a way to engage that community is often important, because it's not just the big companies that are having to adapt and respond, it's also those smaller companies that are often more agile, able to do things quite innovatively. Claudia, I wonder, how do you see things? Because obviously Greater Manchester is doing quite a lot in this direction. It sees itself as a leader in many respects. How do you see things where you are? Is there a lot of progress? Are you optimistic about the future?
I am always optimistic about the future, because this is the way architects should be, because we need to do projects, and a project is something for the future intrinsically. So of course I am optimistic. I can tell you that things are changing. For years we have been sold the idea that innovation could be all about competitiveness and bringing forward models which proved to be unsustainable for the social point of view. What is now coming to fore is a new awareness that no one can be left behind. And this is clear already in Agenda 2030 from Habitat 3, but it's becoming more and more clear that there is no sustainable development without inclusive development. And in this sense, when we talk about innovation, we really need to understand which type of innovation do we want. And I would like to recall, for example, a picture from Gone City from Walker, academic from California, who has depicted the reality of Silicon Valley in terms of inequality, and unfortunately Silicon Valley is the mecca for innovation. So we really need to start interrogating ourselves, what does it mean innovation nowadays, according to the new challenge, the new global challenge of the climate change. In terms of architecture, now the concept of social value is becoming part of the concept of sustainable architecture, and topics like inequalities are becoming part of the strategies for innovation. At European level, for example, the concept of smart specialization strategies is a concept which works on place-based assets, including, of course, cultural assets, and including the people who are living in that specific place. So I hope that more and more we will understand that there is no innovation without inclusion, And this concept of social innovation and sustainable innovation will permeate more and more also all these initiatives in terms of climate challenge, which otherwise could risk to become purely greenwashing, which is not what we advocate for. So a green roof, sustainable urban drainage is a tool. It's not a goal in itself, because the goal ultimately is the well-being of the people.
Yes, and building in all senses of the words, isn't it? Building connections, building physical things, building, just alliances, and also just among communities. So building in all senses of the world, as in architecture being a real pivotal point to start with as well. So we were wondering actually, Zainab, please, if you would explain what it's like in Pakistan in terms of what changes you feel that maybe your government is making, or in your country, what perspective do you have to share with us?
Yeah. So, okay, even before COVID and even during the COVID, there was a very positive response from government. The government, and especially the Ministry of Climate Change here, in cooperation with the government, they have introduced a green stimulus package where they are focusing in different domains related to the climate change, as well as they are generating green jobs and things like that, which could support a layman. So there is a kind of economic stability. When I say economic stability, obviously things are not good given the pandemic situation, but things are not that worst, which was expected before the COVID situation. Given all those initiatives, one thing which could be learned is that if we are going to care about the climate change, and we are going to take adaptation and mitigation measures, they're also going to help us and kind of positively contribute towards the financial stability. So it's kind of interlinked, and this brings us again to the point that we should not ignore the climate crisis. It should be our priority in, I think, every sector, and there should be kind of interdisciplinary kind of approach towards the climate change, and also the other associated problems which are related to the climate change.
That's such an important message. Thank you very much for that. Claudia, I wonder, as we look towards COP26, what would you hope to be achieved this year, and what would you want the governments to do?
I would like to see a clear commitment towards sustainability, which takes the shape of a regulatory framework at a national level, and not just good intentions, because it is paramount that decisions become statutory frameworks, so that they do not are at the mercy of different political wings. So climate change is not about left wing or right wing. It is about humankind survival on this planet. So it has no colors. So once decisions are made, there shouldn't be change depending on the political wings which come forward. So I really hope that the commitments will become laws and be enforced, so that finally the targets will be met.
That's a great way, a great sentiment. Yeah, I think that's a wonderful message, don't you think, Anna?
Yes, no, actually, what I was actually going to say there is that I got excited because what you've just said is actually what was echoed in a lot of the student sessions yesterday that I popped into to see what everyone was talking about. And I popped into a few different groups to see what students were saying. And they were saying the same thing about how we need to have, it's not just enough to have those words, we need actions, but also, it's those commitments. And it's just a really key moment coming up this year, and we can't really wait just any longer. But 6 months or less to go, so I think it's really important what you've just said as well. And I guess
definitely, and unfortunately, we're out of time. We can't wait any longer before the next session. It's about to start. So thank you both for being here.
Thank you so
Seeing
much.
you again on the pathway to COP. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
In November 2021, the UK will host the 26th UN Climate Change Conference of the Parties in Glasgow, also known as COP26. The COP26 summit will bring together international government negotiators, decision makers, and policymakers to discuss how they should accelerate action towards stopping climate change. From small island states to countries with rapidly growing urban areas, representatives from 197 countries are expected to join the summit. We, the young people living across the planet, have the opportunity to tell these decision makers why stopping climate change is important to us, the future generations, and everyone's voice matters.
So we're making a film, all of us. Please tell us what matters most and we'll bring your perspective into the frame. Tell us what is important to you and how leaders can change so that they can lead the change we want to see in our world. If you're 18 to 30 years old, submit your video on Twitter, Instagram, or Weibo of up to 2 minutes in high definition using the hashtag #ActNowFilm.
Your video submission should include the following points: your first name and country, why is climate change important to you, what do you think is the most important change that needs to be addressed in climate change, are you a part of any group or organization? If so, where is it and what does it do? What pledge will you take to address climate change? And what would you most like to say to the global decision makers at COP? For more details, please follow on Instagram, Twitter, or Weibo, where you will find everything you need.
Here's your chance to show the negotiators what action you are already taking and what action you'd like them to take.